everyone, welcome back to my channel. My name is Marisa. I know it's been quite a long time since my last video, but I wanted to say I've seen some new subscribers. First of all, welcome. And to my old subscribers, especially Carol from Carol Cosmos, Jessica from Mason and Miles who checked in on me while I took my little hiatus, thank you so much. I feel the love and I'm back. I honestly, to be candid, had to take a little bit of time off because I'm not exactly a YouTuber by trade. This is just kind of an amateur fun thing for me. So I had to take some time off and figure out what I was going to do with my life post-university, as is, you know, the case with most people my age. So I had to do that. I was loving YouTube so much and I was so dedicated to it that I kind of let everything fall by the wayside, and I really couldn't have that because I need money to live. I need money to buy this new set that I can use to enhance my videos. I got a new lens, so I'm just really happy to be back. I'm wearing false eyelashes and I never really ever wear false eyelashes, so I think it's really fun. This is also a sort of rounded, more flirty, PC wispy look to the eyelashes that I never have ever worn on my channel. So I'm really excited to bring you something new, something fresh. This is a flirty date night look and I'm really excited to get into this tutorial, so let's go. I'm just gonna start by using a little bit of the NYX Scrub de Miel lip balm. I love, love, love this lip balm. Because I've been having a few pore issues around my face recently, I'm just gonna use a little bit of the POREfessional. Don't know why I decided to shake it, because that does absolutely nothing. I've had this one forever, but never really needed to use it until recently. It's just so annoying. I hope in the summertime all of this stuff subsides. So a new foundation that I got recently is the NARS Sheer Glow Foundation. It's just as good as everyone was talking about. What I do need though is a primer that will seriously stop it from melting off my face. I don't even really have the oiliest of skins, but I find that it really does melt off my face. So I need to find a primer. If anybody wants to suggest a primer, I'm all ears. Just leave it down in the comments below. But I really had to play around with this foundation first before I started using it, and I think one of the keys, oh, this by the way is the Real Techniques Expert Face Brush. The key things to this foundation is really not to use too much. Just putting a little bit more in the areas that I think I need it. Another interesting thing is it's called Sheer Glow, but it doesn't really seem that kind of like dewy to me. It's definitely luminous and you get a glow, but it's not, I would say it's actually pretty matte. So the next thing I'm going to do is use a little bit of the Pixi Correction Concentrate, and I really like this stuff. It's in the color Brightening Peach, just kind of like that, and it's really, really great for hiding that kind of blueness. This is also great for any veins that you have, so I just like to pat that in all over the eyelid. Okay, so I'm using the Marc Jacobs Full Cover Concealer. This is totally loved. It's like one of the things that I always keep inside my purse, and I love it, but like the metal is scraping. It's not. It used to be Marc Jacobs in silver here, apparently gone. I have a huge dent in it. I actually really, really love this. This is in the shade 3. It's called Young. So I'm just going to dot that. I like to use my ring finger to just blend that in, and I blend it downwards. It's full coverage, but really light, and it's just the right texture. You can wear it without foundation, and it doesn't look terrible, as in way too full coverage, that's like you have nothing going on underneath your eyes and then the rest of your face has blemishes and pigmentation and all that kind of stuff. I'm just going to take the rest around my nose. I've been using a lot of powders lately, but the one that I like the most is the Bourjois Healthy Balance powder. And this one is just my favorite. You can see it's like the Marc Jacobs concealer, it's just completely ravaged. It spends a lot of time in my purse, and as you can see I've hit some major pan. Just going to use my Real Techniques contour brush, and I'm just going to lightly set that. I used to kind of just like lightly dust because I didn't want it to look cakey or anything, But if you do light dabbing motions and you just work in sheer layers, I find it won't look cakey and you'll really set your concealer down. I've been really loving a certain eyebrow routine that's been different from my normal MAC charcoal brown, and I've been using the Anastasia Beverly Hills Dip Brow Pomade in medium brown and the Sephora flat eyeliner brush that comes from a little kit. It just looks like that. I mean, if you watch YouTube, I'm sure you've seen this many times before, but I just take the smallest amount and just dab it, like just tiny little dabs. This stuff is really kind of difficult to work with in that you need to have the lightest hand possible because you're really going to draw like the craziest line on your eyebrows if you don't. Okay, so one thing I like to do a lot is just brush my hairs down at the arch and then really lightly just draw in the direction of the hairs. Now my hairs are kind of strange and they like to grow like diagonally downwards or diagonally upwards, so that's what I'm going to follow. Now I'm just going to take whatever's left on the brush and just sort of draw some random little hairs into the front end of the brow, but just making sure that you're making it look as natural as possible by following the direction of all the other hairs. Then the last thing I have to do is take the Maybelline Brow Drama, this is in soft brown, wipe off the tip, the very tip, because I find that it catches a lot of the product, and I just like to brush my hairs upwards and outwards, kind of in the opposite direction that they're growing. And this gives them that like super high fashion right now, bold brow look. This is the Anastasia contour kit. It is so polarizing on YouTube. What I like to do is mix this ashier, sort of yellowy brown. I see a yellow undertones most certainly. This is my contour brush with a little bit of this middle one here. And I'm just going to suck in my cheeks and map out my contour. And then I'm just going to use that middle contour shade to contour the nose. If you pull a Marisa, where you take the contour way too far down from blending, you can just take any sort of, it can be a translucent, but I'm just going to take, for sake of convenience, this sort of peachy, actually more like a pale pink color, and you can just clean it up. I'm just going to take a little bit of that highlighter, just run it right here. Okay, so onto eyes. I'm going to use a little bit of this Urban Decay eyeshadow primer potion in Eden. You really, like, less is so much more. I use the tiniest amount of my finger, and I might have used a little bit too much. My most favorite palette of all time is the Lorac Pro Palette, and I really cannot imagine anything getting better than this. You've got your mirror, and then you've got a whole set of mattes on top, and then a whole set of sort of corresponding shimmer shadows, and it's just every color you could ever need. So I'm going to start off by taking a little bit of the cream and then just putting that all over the eye. One of my blending brushes, and take a little bit of taupe. Looking down into a mirror I find is the best because you can keep your eyes open while seeing sort of the whole map of your eyes. And I just like to blend this one into the socket. Okay, so then I'm going to take a Sigma E30 pencil brush, taking the same taupe, and just running that along the lash line. So just doing the same thing for the lower lash line. I find doing this step is just so important because when you put foundation and primer and concealer, what you're really doing is covering the natural kind of shading of your face. So you have to add it back. You have to add a little bit of a shadow that shows the eye kind of projected out a little bit more, or else your eye's going to look so flat and your face is going to look almost two-dimensional, and that's not what anybody wants from a makeup look. Well, I mean, I guess you could, but unless you're not going for that, don't do it. Now I'm going to take a little bit of this beautiful light bronze color, and I'm going to dust this on the inner half of the lid. Taking a detailer brush by Real Techniques, I'm just going to take a little bit of the champagne color, mix it with the nude, and put that right on the inner corner. Next, I'm going to be taking just a tiny bit of this sable color here and placing that into the corner of the eye. Taking a little bit of the sable color and then just smudging it under the eye. Then I'm going to be darkening up the corner a little bit more with espresso. I'm going to take a clean, what is this, the Real Techniques base shadow brush, and I'm going to be using that to blend. Then I'm going to use the same brush and take a little bit more of the taupe and go back in to blend. It doesn't really hurt to also just take a super clean brush. This is the Real Techniques Deluxe Crease Brush, and then just blend out that edge there. So I'm going to take the Stila Stay All Day Waterproof Liquid Liner. This is just in the shade, I think it's called Dark Brown. Yeah. So opening my eyes wide, looking straight ahead, what I'm going to do is make a flick that continues the sort of angle that the waterline gives you. And I like to bring that to around the area where the crease goes, if that makes sense. Doing the same for the other eye. I've also just sort of tight-lined, basically, by pressing into the lashes, because you really don't want any sort of gap. Then I'm going to really gently keep my eye wide open and connect the wing. Next, I'm just going to do a little tiny flick. This kind of extends the line of the eye and makes it look a lot more diagonally slanted, just like you want a cat eye to look. And it also makes your eyes look wider. You will be shocked at really the difference that it makes. Next, I'm taking a little bit of the Estee Lauder Pure Color Intense Kajal Eyeliner Duo. I love this. I really need to get a new one soon. I'm going to take Blackened Cocoa, which is the darkest brown, and I'm just going to tight line, really pressing up to meet where you put that line of the brown eyeliner. Also going to put a tiny bit just on the inner third of my eye. Then taking that same pencil brush and then just smudging. Same thing with this side. So we're going 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then releasing it a tiny bit, tilting, and squeezing again. So when I had longer lashes, there are some mascaras that worked great for me. I loved L'Oreal Telescopic. I loved the Fairy Drop Scandal Queen. I loved the butterfly lashes. But I kind of find that on my current eyelashes that are not as maybe voluminous or long or curly, those, you could really see the effect of them not working the same way. But with this mascara, maybe it's because the formula is a mousse texture. I talk about this mousse texture way too much, but that's what it is. There's a lot less wax to kind of weigh the eyelashes down. They still look a lot more fluttery than those other ones. Another tip for really widening the eyes is making sure that you get the tiny little hairs on the inside. These are the House of Lashes Bambi lashes. I think that they're so cute. I'm also going to use the House of Lashes eyelash adhesive. Okay, so I just added my House of Lashes Bambi lash. So different than what I'm used to. Really, they're really rounded. I'm normally used to like a flared look, but I already have more of a flared, blown out sort of eyeshadow, so I think it adds a little bit of an interesting dimension. Also, the fluttery sort of unevenness looks a lot like the Kardashian lashes, so we'll see how I feel about this later, but it's just so different than what I'm used to. And I just put a little bit more mascara just to make sure that I could sort of meld the eyelashes, my natural eyelashes, into the fake eyelashes. And then added a lot more mascara on the lower lashes to make sure that I could match that sort of, I don't want to say clumpiness, but I'm going to say clusteredness of the eyelashes that I'm wearing. Almost done, you guys. So now for blush, I'm going to be using a combination of my two favorite blushes of the moment. This is the Milani Baked Powder Blush in Luminoso, just one of the most beautiful blushes of all time, if not my most favorite, and the Rockateur from Benefit, which is also another one of my favorites, and one of my favorite scents of all time. Like, I've just been wearing it so that I could smell it. Oh, it smells so good. It smells like roses, but like sweet roses. This is the Real Techniques multitask brush, and I love it for blush. I'm just going to take a little bit of Luminoso here, and focusing this one almost as like a colored wash across my cheeks. Nothing too intense. Then I'm going to take the Rockateur blush, smells so good, and just do a little bit of a more focused dab on the cheeks there. So now I'm just going to take a little bit of the Charlotte Tilbury Lip Cheat and Pillow Talk, which is devastatingly nearing the end of its beautiful life. And I'm just going to just kind of even out the shape of my lips. I'm not going to overdraw because I already have quite large lips. If you have a hard time finding the line for your lips, you can close your mouth and smile, and that'll give you pretty much a taut line that you can follow. This one just kind of evens out the color of my lips. And then I'm going to be using Blankety by MAC, which is my most favorite nude. I don't know, I love a lot of nudes. You guys know that I love Charlotte Tilbury's Nude Kate, but I just love this nude. It's actually more of a pinky nude, not more of a true neutral nude. I really like it though. It's actually quite pale. MAC lipstick smells so good. So here it is, you guys, the finished look. This is my flirty date night look. I'm keeping it really neutral and easy, but it uses some techniques that I think really enhance the eye and kind of widens it, as well as enhances the cheeks and the bone structure, but it's still really soft and pretty, and I like to pair it with this sort of loosely undone hair for a kind of modern take. Make sure to hit the subscribe button if you enjoyed this video. Also give it a thumbs up, but most importantly, leave me a comment because I really want to say hi to everyone that I missed, my old subscribers, as well as hear from some new subscribers and maybe get to know you guys a little bit more. You guys are having a fantastic day, and I will see you next time. Bye.